This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All righty, there he is. Locked and locked. Hey, by the way, I know you're indoors. How hot and humid is it indoors right now for you? I don't know. You might cramp up on me during this interview, so I'm not exactly sure. You know what I mean?
I got to tell you, it's maybe the worst excuse I've ever heard in my life. I mean, that really, like I am a Knicks fan. I've been a Knicks fan since '93. That's more embarrassing than losing the games. I mean,
dude, you should be fired. You should be fired for saying shit like that. Like that's like you're lying. That's like you're sending like because we have stupid people in this world, and they're gonna roll with that, and they're gonna start believing stupid shit like that. And that's the problem with something that's irresponsible, bro. That's not just dumb. It's irresponsible to say something that stupid.
It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. Like legitimately one of the top 5. And think about, like, I'm 34 years old. Like, I've heard enough things in my life that are pretty dumb. It's up there. And by the way, I hate to tell the person who uttered that, the Knicks have also sucked in New York in this series. It's not as though like they went down to Miami and were just a completely different team. Like they barely beat the Heat when Jimmy Butler was there in game 2.
They really should have lost that game. They really should have lost that game.
Look, the bottom line in this series is to me obvious and simple. The Heat are playing perfect basketball. I mean, they just are. Every shot they take, it feels like they rotate the ball beautifully. They're hitting every important shot.
I think, dude. I just think Spo's a much better. Tibbs is a motivator. Tibbs is an in-your-face. He's I don't think he's a X's and O's genius, dude. I don't think he's that guy. You know what I mean? That's why I think he's the kind of guy that wears on every organization he's ever been at, and he'll do the same shit in New York. 5 years in. They'll all be tired of Tibbs. They'll all be tired of the message. They'll all be tired of the same shit, and they'll change coaches because that's who he is. Does he get great effort out of guys for a stretch? Yeah, that's what he does. But is he going to out-coach the guy across from him? No, dude. No.
I would say this about Thibodeau. First of all, I agree with you. Spoelstra's a much better coach. Secondly, Thibodeau's a good defensive coach, and he's very good at developing young players. I mean, Jimmy Butler once upon a time was one of them. He's very good at getting the best out of those guys. The problem with Thibodeau is he's Tom Thibodeau, and that's all he ever is. Like, he's so rigid in how, like, for an example, in this series. Now, I'm not saying this would even swing the series, but the Knicks have rotated themselves to death defensively. Miami has swung the ball so effectively, and they just end up with these wide open shots. You would think at some point in this series, the Knicks would say, you know what, we're going to play this on defense because at least we're not going to have to run ourselves ragged all over the court. They won't do it. They won't do it because Tibbs doesn't want to play that way. So they will play the way they're playing the entire series, even if it means death, because Tibbs wants to play that way. Now, that all said, look, the Heat are much better than a typical 8 seed. Give them all the credit in the world. They have played great basketball. They've played their best basketball at this time. The Knicks, on the other hand, the strength all year long has been their bench. Their bench has been invisible. Quickly was awful even before he got hurt. Toppin has done nothing. Hartenstein's been quiet. And their starters, Randall has been either unbelievable like he was in game 2, or he's been awful. There's been no in between. He's been awful more than he's been incredible. And Mitchell Robinson has gotten his lunch handed to him this entire series. So what you have is Miami up 3-1. I agree with you, by the way. I think they will win tonight. I just do not think the Knicks have it.
They looked demoralized in the last game, dude.
I agree.
They did. It takes a hell of an effort now to win in this kind of a situation. You got to have incredible character to really put it aside and go out there and ball. And to me, Miami was always in control in the last game. Like they never really were threatened. No, and I expected a run because you would think, dude, your season's on the brink. You're gonna desperately try to get out of it. And I never saw the Knicks, like tonight, I do expect like the Maple Leafs to to try their best, and if Panthers can stave them off for a couple periods, then maybe in that third period you'll start to see that demoralized team. I don't know if I'm going to see a great effort from the Knicks at any point tonight. I really don't.
No.
I just don't think that Thibodeau's got them, focused right now.
I think the only
defeated right now.
I think in the first quarter, because they're at the Garden, they'll come out hard. But if Miami can weather that storm, I think they'll win the game. I mean, that would be the only thing is if the Knicks just come out and they're gangbusters early in the game. But I agree. I think this is probably the end. And honestly, it's the same way, but in reverse, I felt about the Knicks and the Cavs in Game 5 in Cleveland, where I thought even going back to Cleveland, having watched the two games in New York, you could just see it in Cleveland. You're like, they're done. They're not winning this game. They have no answers to this point. I think barring just one of those things where the Knicks just shoot the lights out and have one of those nights, I would agree. I do not think the Knicks will win tonight, and I do not think in any circumstance it's going past 6. But I think it ends tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right, well, we got a Chiefs Dolphins matchup, but it ain't Thursday night. We got it in November in Germany. What do you think?
I got to tell you, I'm kind of disappointed the game's not Arrowhead with Tyreek Hill. I thought that would be fun. I thought that would. I mean, they've been already talking about it. These teams, Tyreek Hill and Chris Jones.
Sneed is already going. Yeah, we'll be ready. So that
would have been fun. Listen, I mean, if you're German and you're a German fan, it's a great game. I mean, you're excited about having that game in Germany, right? I mean, it's hard to complain about that. I like that it's a little later.
We're actually now giving the European countries some decent games because, dude, all we handed them for years were the worst.
Was the worst possible games year in and year out. Yes, it's amazing that frankly they haven't started sanctioning the United States based on some of these games. No, I think it's a good game. Obviously, I like the fact it's in the middle of the season and it's not like week 3 or something. That's fun. You have a little idea where the teams are. Like I said, I mean, just for the Tyreek Hill factor, I think if it was in Arrowhead, it would be cool. But it makes the game a little more interesting. Not that Miami couldn't have won an Arrowhead, but now it's in neutral site. So now you look at it and go, all right, well, it's, I don't know what the line would be for that game, but it's going to be smaller than what it would have been if it was in Kansas City. It should be fun. The Dolphins, I mean, geez, we haven't even announced the schedule yet. We already have 2 primetime games. Got that game, even though it's not technically primetime. It's 8:30 in the morning Eastern, or 9:30 in the morning Eastern. And you got Black Friday, Dolphins, Jets, Black Friday. So we already got a couple of games for the Finns nationally televised.
Atlanta, Jacksonville, Wembley Stadium on my birthday, October 1st. I'll be in Vegas during that time because I'll be watching U2 in the Sphere on the 29th and the 30th. So, yeah, that'll be fun. So October 8th, Jags versus Bills at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. That's actually a pretty good game. Jags, Bills. Atlanta, Jacksonville. Jacksonville's sexy, but Atlanta is around. Ravens, Tennessee, not bad. I know Tennessee still has some quarterback issues, but at least they get the Ravens. And then Dolphins, Chiefs, and then Colts, Pats at Frankfurt Stadium. That's the other Germany game on November 12th. So a bunch of overseas games and a few good ones, actually, and some decent teams going over there, too, at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, the Chiefs and Dolphins and the Jags and the Bills, those are the 2 games that are the ones that you really kind of look at and go, hey, it's gonna be a good game. It's going to be a fun game. Jags, Falcons, I mean, if the Falcons had a quarterback, I'd be in on that game. Right. But the problem is the quarterback. Pats, Colts offensively might set this sport back 50 years. I mean, I like Anthony Richardson. I think he's going to be very good, but I think it's going to take a little time. And,
he'll be bad this year. If he plays, he's going to make a lot of ugly mistakes this year.
And I got to tell you, Richardson against Bill Belichick might be an interesting game. And then you got what? The Ravens, Titans. I mean, look, one thing you know about that game, it'll be hard hitting. It'll be physical. I don't think the Titans are good. But I agree that could be interesting. Like, that could be an interesting game if Tannehill's there and he's healthy. And But I think that the Jags, Bills, and the Chiefs and the Dolphins, those to me should be 4 playoff teams. So I think it should be interesting.
What did you think of Bengals Chiefs on New Year's Eve?
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's big time. Week 17. Who knows?
Home field advantage on the line. I am
the number one seed
for somebody. Yeah,
that could be the number one seed. That is going to be. I'm a big believer in. I like all the big games. Like I said it earlier about Chiefs and Dolphins. That it's at least in November. I like those games later in the year. Where the teams stand. What's at stake in those games. I mean, look, if the Chiefs played the Bengals week 2, it's an important game, but it's week 2. You're kind of finding yourself, you're rounding at the form. Week 17, barring injury, that game's going to be the game. I mean, those teams are going to be looking at that game all year long going, all right, all we got to do is be within a game of the other one. Because, the one thing this year, and the Chiefs dealt with this last year, it ended up not living up to the hype because the AFC West wasn't as good as people thought it would be. But going into the year, I mean, a lot of people, including myself, felt like, look, it's going to be impossible for them to get a 1 seed because the division is so tough. They're going to beat each other up, and the schedule is really difficult. I think that same thing this year might hold true for the AFC East in the sense it's such a brawl in that division. Then they got to play the NFC East, which is probably the best division in the NFC side of things. And specifically for Buffalo, Buffalo's not only got to play all those teams, Buffalo's also got to play Jacksonville, Cincinnati, Kansas City. So, I mean, it's just I think there's a very good chance that the Chiefs and the Bengals, that they are playing for the number 1 seed in the conference that game, as long as both of them stay healthy.
Crazy shit, man. All right, so L'Jarius Sneed, by the way, is a young cornerback for the Chiefs.
Yes.
And obviously Tyreek Hill has been talking about how he's going to be the Chiefs' worst enemy on his return to Kansas City. Unfortunately, we now found out that he's not returning to Kansas City this year. He'll be playing Kansas City in Germany, so it'll be a whole different ballgame. But Sneed did say Tyreek's been talking a lot of trash. He's been talking a lot about coming back to Arrowhead. We will show him when he gets here. I don't really get into it, but I take notes of what he said, Sneed said. I've been on the internet, and I see what he's saying. We'll see once he comes to Arrowhead. So tell me a little bit about L'Jarius Sneed. Now that it won't be Arrowhead, it'll be, what the hell is that stadium called? It's Frankfurt Stadium. Now that they will meet at Frankfurt Stadium, tell us about L'Jarius Sneed.
He's a really good player. He's their best corner. He plays slot. He plays outside. He will definitely see Tyreek Hill in that game. And I won't say one-on-one because I think anybody playing one-on-one with Tyreek Hill is insane. There'll be help. But he will be across from him. Let's put it that way. Steve's really good. In fact, he's been one of the guys I've been keeping an eye on, talking to sources about because he's got 1 year left in his contract. And I think he's somebody the Chiefs are going to be interested in extending. In fact, I can tell you that they have had extension talks with him. He's a really, really good player. He's a great blitzer out of the slot. He might be the best corner in the league at that in terms of he and Mike Hilton are probably the 2 best at blitzing off the slot. But yeah, he's an important player for the Chiefs. He doesn't talk a lot. He's a very quiet guy. I've interviewed him. In fact, during his rookie season when they went to the Super Bowl, they played the Bucs. I sat down with him for an exclusive one-on-one and talked to him on the phone for like 20 minutes. Very nice guy, Louisiana kid, very, very quiet. So for him to go on there and talk about that was interesting. Look, let's put it this way. Tyreek Hill has their full attention. And by the way, Tyreek Hill doesn't care that he has their full attention. He wants their full attention. Okay? Yeah. And that's the beauty of this game. Tyreek Hill absolutely, as the kids say, wants all the smoke. And the Chiefs are like, that's great. You can come with it because we're ready. I mean, that's what made the AFC title game so much fun, where the Chiefs and Bengals spent the entire week just talking crap about how much they couldn't stand each other.
Yeah.
And I think, look, my guess in that game, Tyreek Hill is going to get his, and the Chiefs are going to get some of their. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. It's going to be a very, very good football game.
what I don't know if we talked a little bit about this last week, but one of the things I'm intrigued about now with Devon A-Chain being part of the team, that when you got A-Chain and Mostert coming out of the backfield with Waddle and Hill,
Yep.
that's a crap ton of speed. I don't know what secondary is going to want to, who can hang and want to face four guys with that kind of speed coming at you. That's going to be one hell of a formation if they take that out.
It is. Look, the Dolphins, I just finished writing a lot about the Dolphins. I've done a few AFC East pieces for SI. I'll run next week. The Dolphins are, I think, pretty inarguably the fastest team in the NFL. I mean, I don't know that there'd really be an argument. Maybe there's one other team you throw in there. I don't know. I mean,
I don't think there's anybody like that.
They're right at the top in my estimation. Which, look, the one thing that does, beyond the obvious of just, hey, you're really fast, it's going to force teams to play zone against you. They're going to have to. I mean, I remember when the Chiefs had Tyreek Hill, and it was always like, look, if you want to play man against them, good luck. Have fun. I don't care who you have at corner. He's torching you. In fact, it's actually funny now because they play together in Miami. The first year that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, 2019, Jalen Ramsey came in as a member of Jacksonville, and he was ripping into Tyreek Hill, but Tyreek Hill was only a Pro Bowler as a special teams player. And boy, he had a day. Like Tyreek Hill, he had a nice day against Ramsey that afternoon. And it was like, if Jackson wants to sit there and play a man, they're going to get beat. It's going to get beat. I don't care who you're playing with. And Miami's going to see a lot of that this year. Like, I don't care if New England or Buffalo or the Jets, if they want to sit there and play a man, like, look, and the Jets might try to do it with those corners. I don't care how good you are. Like, that is going to be, if you play man against Miami, you better have an outstanding defense. Because if you don't, you're going to give up big plays. And I guarantee you with the Chiefs, and again, the Chiefs are going to sit there and say, we'll give you everything underneath in the world. That's fine. They'll take it. And God knows the Dolphins can do it. But we're not going to get beat deep. That's going to be the whole thing where which seems obvious, but I guarantee you will have some teams that will say, we don't care. We're going to play man. We're going to blitz. And I think those are the teams that are going to give up 40 points against Miami because you can't play that way against that type of speed.
Before I let you go, the game's not going to be easy. You still got to play it. It's going to be a challenge for everybody, no matter where it's at. Okay. So I'm going to throw that caveat out there. But did the Dolphins get a break not having to go to Arrowhead?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course they did. I mean, I think if you looked at it from like a line perspective, and I'm not an odds maker, I mean, look, we're also talking about this in like May. But if we had to make odds for the game, I mean, the odds would probably be something like if it was in Kansas City, everybody's healthy. The Chiefs always end up with inflated lines because people bet the hell out of them. So I would say it'd probably be like a 6-point line, even though it probably shouldn't be that high. In Germany, they'll probably be favored by like
3.5.
3.5. I was just going to say 3.5, 4. Yeah. Like, I think so. Yeah, I do. I mean, are the Chiefs still the favorite team in the game? Yes. But the Dolphins, is it easier? Yeah, of course it's easier.
Yes.
But to play at Arrowhead, yeah. So
yes,
how many teams?
The crowd won't be completely pro Chiefs anymore.
Right.
It won't be like that. There'll be a bunch of Dolphin fans there too. At the same time, you won't have rabid red all over the goddamn stadium dominating you, bro, because that's what happens. It's not like 20,000 people from the other team show up at Arrowhead now every week. No.
Yeah.
It's all Arrowhead. I mean, it's all red.
And the other part of it
gets what, 50 people in there, 100 people, 500 people. They don't get a lot of people in there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, 100%. I agree with you. And look, also the Chiefs are going to have to travel for their own home game. And it's going to be a thing where, look, the weather's not going to be a factor. You wouldn't think in Germany. So
good point.
Yeah, I mean, now granted, it's early November, probably wouldn't be that.
It's early November. It would have been just cool, but still,
probably 50 or something. But that being said, look, it absolutely helps the Dolphins. I mean, just like quite honestly, I think Jacksonville got a huge break. They're not going to go to Buffalo. Like Jacksonville, I know some people have been like, well, they got to play in London for 2 straight weeks. Yeah, they're already there. Like, they already have been there. Their body clocks are all adjusted. The Bills now have to go over there, lose a home game, and play the Jags, who are basically London's team because they're over there every single year. I mean, if you're Jacksonville, it's a huge advantage. You're sitting there waiting for them. So, yes, I think it's not only do the Bills lose a home game, they're playing, at least like with the Chiefs and the Dolphins, look, they're both like pretty new to the international thing. Like, they don't play a lot of international games. The Jags play a London game every year. They're more used to this than anybody. So I think it really does hurt the Bills. I think of all the teams that have to go over there and host a game, it sucks if you're Buffalo because you're playing the team that they're the most used to it, and they're already going to have been there because they play Atlanta the week prior.
And they're actually good now. So
yeah, right. Yeah, right. And they're good. So that's a tough spot. If you're Buffalo, that I'd be miffed if I were the Bills.
I don't know if we talked about this, but I don't know if I told you my idea. But my idea, I mentioned usually Berlin, but they're doing Frankfurt.
Yes.
But Frankfurt, Barcelona, Paris, and London, for me, should be the expansions. And you do 2 a year, 2 consecutive years, and you can't expand to Europe for one team or two. You got to do an entire division.
I would agree if you're going to do it.
Yeah. Have we had this conversation? Did I tell you about this?
We haven't, but I agree with you.
My idea is you expand to those 4 cities, and you build an international practice facility centralized there in Europe where U.S. teams go over and they stay a couple of weeks, and that practice facility also has its own hotel. And so that way they stay there, and then they travel for 2 weeks. They go to London and then Frankfurt, and then they come back. And you do the same thing here. Put a practice facility somewhere centralized in this country. And then those European teams, when they come here, they stay for a couple of weeks, and they go to, a couple of cities, because you can't do it just for 1 week. So you just keep them out there for a couple of weeks. And then the other thing that you're going to do is you're going to make it a 20-week schedule, because you're going to have 2 bye weeks, one for your Thursday night game and one for your European jaunt or American jaunt, whatever it is. But I think when you expand to an entire European division, because the amount of money you're going to draw by going into the entire part of Europe now, all of a sudden you're going to get all that whole part of the world interested in NFL football, and they're going to specifically be scooping up those 4 teams' jerseys and shirts and hats and all that kind of crap. So the amount of money that you can bring in is just a sick amount of money overall. But the only way to logistically do it is if you got to have an entire European division. So that way it gives them something to root, and it gives you also something that it doesn't kill the teams if they go over there and they hang out for a couple of weeks and then they come back and they have a bye week. They have plenty of time to, get their legs back and all that kind of stuff and continue the season. What do you think about that idea?
I think if you're going to expand internationally, I agree with you. You have to do it more than one team. Like, it doesn't make any sense to stick a team in London and then just go, okay, that team's going to have to travel now constantly. I mean, I think I personally, there's part of it I think could be interesting. There's another part of it I don't really want to see them go internationally to Europe, only because I just think it'd be hard for those teams to draw free agents in the way that the North American teams would. I think it'd be hard.
You have to think big picture, my man. Once you entrench yourself in Europe, you will now get young kids to start playing the game.
Sure.
So you'll do what baseball, basketball, and hockey has been able to do. You have expanded the talent pool of your sports because international is part of your game now. So the NBA is better than it's been because now we have international players. Baseball is the same. We've got the Caribbean and Central and South American players, joining in, and hockey the same way. In football, they don't have that luxury. But if you put that out there, that cycle starts over the next 50 years, and you start to really build your talent pool, and hopefully you start getting real. Instead of us having that that token European dude that we bring onto rosters nowadays that has like no shot pretty much as making the team. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we can now really start to breed football players in other countries. So I think that actually might have a future.
That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. Yeah, I mean, right now, I don't want the league to expand, period. But I will say, I'm with you. If they're going to expand to Europe at any point in time, they have to do it with more than one team. You can't. Oh, listen, believe me, I agree with you. If the NFL could make money by expanding and putting a team in Antarctica, they would do it. Okay.
European rights would go up. European TV rights would skyrocket if you have 4 teams in Europe. Interest would skyrocket teams in Europe.
I mean, here's what would you put?
You and I know it. Those 4 stadiums will be sold out all 18 weeks of the season because by then you're up to 36, 18 weeks, 36 teams. It all jives. 20 weeks of the season, 2 bye weeks. It all jives.
The interest,
and you know how it is. They go after every revenue stream, and they're almost done with revenue streams here because the digital part of it is the next thing, and they've already dominated with streaming and streaming services and platforms. So then the next thing becomes the worldwide, part of it, and because, here's the other beauty, because there are a lot, football is the number 1 sport in the world. Well, this is their opportunity all of a sudden now make football more international than ever and get that international money in their pockets, bro. And those owners know there's billions of dollars waiting for them to expand in Europe.
The
world plays 1 sport. We play 4. The world plays 1. Okay? That's it. They very few countries have a second major sport. We effing have 4. Well, we have 5 now, really, with Major League Soccer because shit, it's growing in era. Did you see that stat that we had the 16th, 17th, and 18th most valuable soccer teams in the world now? Did you know that?
I didn't see that. That's crazy. That actually really surprises me. I did not see that.
That shocked the shit out of me when I saw that. So you're telling me this league's only 25 years old, 30 years old? You've already got 3 of the top 20. So eventually that's going to grow too. But if you think about it, the rest of the world basically plays 1 sport.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico, they have basketball. Colombia, they love cycling, a little boxing. Some places have boxing, some places have baseball, some places have hockey, some places have some basketball. But really, that this is where football gets to kind of expand. I just think, their greed will take them there eventually.
You know who really doesn't want the NFL in England full time is the English Premier League. That's part of that. I mean, look, I agree with you. Like they would sell. I have a good friend who's from Germany, and I grew up there. I think the first 20 some odd years of his life, and he loves the NFL. And I asked him once, I said, did you watch it when you were in Germany? He's like, oh, yeah. He goes, yeah, we what's going on in the NFL. And that guy surprised me because I said, really? Like, it's like, I said, obviously there's no teams there. And up until recently, never any games there. He's like, oh, yeah. People are very invested in the NFL over there. Like a lot of people. So, yes, I would never argue. There'd be a market. They'd sell the stadium out, all that stuff.
Every stadium would be sold out to the gills, dude. Sold out. Plus Americans will make that. It's kind of like what's happening with Las Vegas.
Yes,
that all these people now figured out. We know that mathematically maybe their population isn't perfect, but we don't care because it's a destination place. And so we know we can put a pro team there and visitors will come to help fill that stadium, arena, whatever. And so that's why Vegas is getting all those teams. And that's what, Frankfurt and London and Paris and, they would all be destinations too at the same time. So,
No, I absolutely.
So and again, by putting a division, remember, you're playing 6 games of your 18. So a third of your season, you're really not traveling a ton. So that's the other thing. That's why it's so important to put a division, because that way there's a hefty part of your traveling that it's just local for those six out of your 18. So it's only 12 that you end up traveling. And remember, it could be, it could be 4 trips or it could be 6 trips, because you could travel to play 2 teams, or you could travel to play 3 teams and stay in the States for 3 weeks. You know what I mean? And then come back. So you could actually do it that way, where you're only really making a couple trips out, to the States, and it wouldn't be that bad. So I've got it all figured out.
You gotta get hold
I'm
of
set.
Goodell.
If Goodell needs me, I can guide him to, more money there.
Good. That's key.
All right, what do you got going on Sports Illustrated so folks can check you out?
Yeah, this week, look, we got the schedule release coming out tomorrow, and I am kind of the man in charge of this one piece that we have that we actually published today. It's kind of like a running doc of like everything we're hearing, everything you need to know about the schedule. So it's actually pretty fun. Like, we're just going to kind of update it throughout. I have my AFC predictions for the records coming out tomorrow night, I believe it is. It's got to be tomorrow night as the schedule comes out. And
you got the Dolphins winning the division?
I do.
Whoa, nice.
I do. I think the Dolphins are going to win that division. I think the Dolphins are the best team in the AFC East. I will tell you right now, though, it's going to be a tight one in that division.
Of course. Man. Yeah.
But
man.
I do. I think the Dolphins are going to win that division. I do. I am a little nervous about that because just Tua, man, please stay healthy.
Right. Of course.
Yeah. But if he stays healthy, I think they're the best team in the division. So yes, but I have my AFC record predictions coming out. And then next week, speaking of the AFC, I have report cards for all the off seasons coming out. And the report card grade, by the way, is much better for the Dolphins for the off season than it was for the draft. So I have AFC East, the AFC North, and the AFC West coming out next week. Stay tuned. There'll be a whole lot of stuff. And then the off season kicks into high gear, and then we'll have some longer pieces and stuff like that. But it'd be fun. There's a lot to read.
Follow him on Twitter at Matt Verderame. Matt, as always, thank you, my brother. Have a fantastic week, my friend.
Thanks a lot. Take care, man.
Thank you, sir. There you go. The great Matt Verderame, Sports Grill. Hey, man, tonight's the night to go to Sports Grill. 8 amazing locations. All right. They added the Doral location now. That thing is monstrous and beautiful. And tonight, your head's on a swivel, right? So now you can have some special grilled wings. You can enjoy a cold beer, and you're watching the Heat. You're watching the Panthers. You're celebrating. It's a beautiful thing, man. Sports Grill, go check it out. And Wednesdays, okay, on Sports Grill, kids eat free with the purchase of an adult entree. So get on down there, have a little lunch, take the kid. They can have a little free meal there too. And remember, you can take home their amazing hot sauces, the buffalo sauce, the Miami Heat, the blackberry, the barbecue, the Dale. Go to sportsgrill.com. Find the nearest location to you.